So, hello everyone, I'm Solomon. I'm a specialized web developer in front-end development, and I also do back-end, but my main specialization is front-end using Angular framework. Probably you've heard of these frameworks, but there's a tip for you. You should not go into these frameworks without first getting into knowing JavaScript and mastering it, or at least knowing the essentials and the basics of JavaScript. Because if you don't know the basics of JavaScript, you're gonna get into Angular, and Angular basically is a framework made with JavaScript, basically TypeScript as well, and TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript. And to know that as well, you need to be able to understand JavaScript code. So we are here. Probably you read the title already, and we are basically going to make tutorials here about JavaScript. And you might be asking, why are we doing this? Because I want everyone to know JavaScript in a comfortable way, and instead of just memorizing code without understanding it, we will start here from scratch to get you to actually be able to use JavaScript comfortably in any occasion that you're required to use JavaScript. First of all, probably you understand that web development consists of three parts, and the three parts are basically first HTML, and then CSS, and then JavaScript. HTML, as you know, is the markup that make up the structure of your website page, and CSS is what makes how to style those markups and those elements on the screen, how you're styling them. And then we have JavaScript, which is considered a programming language. It's a scripting language that lets you interact with those previous two components that I mentioned, the HTML and CSS, in a programmatic way after the website has been run, which makes your website very interactive and very responsive. So basically, if you click on something, then you have a click listener, and then something you can react to something. That's what JavaScript does in the end. It allows you to manipulate your website after it's been run. That's why you see how interactive it is without any reloads or any refreshes. And so where does JavaScript run? As I mentioned, it runs without any refreshes, which means it runs on the client's browser, which means you don't have to reach to a server and or have an internet connection for JavaScript to work for you. It works in the browser. That means because now computers are very powerful, and mobile phones and everything has very high performance nowadays. That's why developers now rely on the client's machine to run code on their machine, so you could actually get these interactive, nice websites. So JavaScript is very important today, and we're gonna get from scratch and get you to actually be comfortable with this language in the end of this series. And I don't want to be formal. I'm I'm not gonna be like, oh, this is what we have to do today, this is what we need to do today. I'm a cool guy in the end, and I like to have a we don't want to have like a formal video type thing, and probably in the middle of the videos or anytime you're gonna find me making some jokes or something like that, and you're gonna probably laugh at yourself while actually listening to what I say. But we'll get to that later. But let me introduce to you first what we're gonna do. So before we do anything, let me explain to you something about JavaScript. JavaScript is a language, right? A scripting language, and you probably heard, or probably not heard, I'm not sure, a term called ECMAScript. So you're probably gonna ask me now, what are you talking about? You just mentioned JavaScript is what we need to learn. What is this ECMAScript that you're talking about? Are you getting us into some other troubles? No, don't worry about it. ECMAScript is basically, let me give you an example, is the main language, and JavaScript is like a dialect of that language. And So what does that mean exactly? I'll give you an example here. If you think about, for example, Arabic, right? So there's the formal Arabic, which is the main language, and then there are dialects of this language, like for example, Egyptian Arabic or Saudi Arabic, and they have different tones and pronunciations sometimes, but they follow the same language in the end. So this is what is going on with JavaScript. JavaScript is like a dialect of this ECMAScript. ECMAScript is like this big thing, and if ECMAScript has a new version, that means JavaScript has a new version. So we have a lot of versions right now for ECMAScript. We have ECMAScript 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, but we're going to focus right now on ES5, which is ECMAScript 5, which actually has most of the JavaScript knowledge that we need to do for now. And then in the next tutorials, we might go into ECMAScript 6 and then 7 and 8 and all these amazing features that you probably will use while coding. So that's the story of ECMAScript. And as you can see here, I have this website Plunker in the background, and you might be asking, what are you going to do with that? And if you look into it, it's pretty much a website that looks like an IDE, right? So whenever you open that website, plunker.co, and it basically allows you to get into a workspace, much more like an IDE and a file explorer system, which just allows you to, have a project right away set up for you with an index.html page, as you see, and a JavaScript file and a CSS file. We're going to focus on that JS file, but let me get into index.html first, and let me explain what's going on. As you see here, this is an HTML, and probably you need to at least understand before getting into this tutorials, at least what is HTML. Probably you don't need 100% to know, but of course if you're getting into web development, please at least understand what's an HTML tag and what's the body tag and the head tag. So you see here we have an HTML tag, and we have the head, and it contains a link to the style sheet, which is this file, so we can write CSS here, but we're not going to do that because this lectures and tutorials are focused on JavaScript. And then we have the body, and we have here a hello Plunker h1 header, and we see it on the side here. And we have the script tag, which basically refers to the JavaScript file here, and that's where we're going to write our JavaScript code. So you see here I have it on the end of the body component, or the body tag, so it have access to everything before it, because you see there is people that might have the JavaScript script tag here, and it's not very good practice to put it here, because if you're running the script from here, then it wouldn't be able to see what's inside of the body, because it's going to be ran at this point. So you have to put it at the end of the body so it has access to everything inside of the body. Okay, so that's our initialization for our project here, and our application. So we have, as you see, the script tag. So there are two ways to write JavaScript, and as you see, this way is basically referring to the script file here. And now at here we could write JavaScript. As you see, I could, for example, say console.log, and console.log is basically a function that allows you to just print something to the console. And I'm going to show you, for example, as you know, hello world program from script file. Okay, and you might be asking, where do we see that? We press F12 to open the developer tools, and to see the console here, and choose console, and you're gonna find the console in the console tab. And here we see hello world from script file, and that basically proves that our JavaScript file is working, and it's very much connected to the HTML file here. Pretty cool, huh? But that's how we're gonna actually write code. We have our file, so everything, we have our file and so on. So everything looks pretty good. Okay. There is an error, but I think it has something to do with Plunker. It's not an error from my code. Don't worry about it. Then there is another way, but you probably wouldn't know, you probably wouldn't use that, but you have to know this. Okay, you have to know this way to write JavaScript code. Instead of actually referring to a script, we could remove this source attribute from the script tag, and we can actually type our script here. So instead of, so because I removed the source, you would not see anymore. If I refresh this, you would not see anymore the the console log that I did here, because it's not even there anymore, right? So if I do a console log here, which is the same method or function that we talked about, okay, and say hello world from the HTML, okay, and let me remove everything so you see on a clean screen, and refresh that, and you can see hello world from the HTML. So you can basically type your JavaScript from inside the HTML tag itself. The HTML tag, yeah, from the HTML file inside of the HTML tag, you could write your JavaScript on a script tag here. Inside of that, between that script tag, you could type your JavaScript. But we're not gonna use this way, because this way is basically a it's called the inline script JavaScript method, and this could be okay if you're typing one line of code or something. But if you have very large applications, imagine that, and you have tons of JavaScript code, would you be able to put all of that code inside of your HTML file? But when that happens, look, when other developers comes and looks into your code, they're gonna find that this is not maintainable, this is not readable, and you're gonna find that you have one big block of HTML file and consists of a lot of JavaScript. It's gonna be very unreadable. That's why what you do is, in the end, you remove that and get back to our setting that we had before, which is using a script.js file. And that's most actually of, if you're gonna use frameworks next, in your next phase, if you're in your development journey, you're gonna find that basically all of the frameworks that you're gonna see uses this split method. And the split method, you're gonna find you have your own HTML template, and then you have a JavaScript file, and then you have a CSS file, and every part of those three are not in the same file, so you can have a maintainable way of writing code and writing clean code.